Ahead of that, let's talk about this with Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker, a member of the Armed Services Committee. Thank you very much for being with us this morning on such a crucial day when it comes to U.S. foreign policy going forward. Just off the bat, do you support the president's actions overnight with these airstrikes?
I do support the president's action. I think it was called for, and the fact that he notified a number of our strongest allies, was advised by a very professional national security team that we have in place. This all gives me a great deal of confidence. I'm supportive of a briefing later on today, and I think that's a great action on the part of the leader.
And the White House did brief some members of Congress before the strike within a very short window before and after of what was going on. That happened. The question, Senator, now is, does the Senate need to vote, perhaps retroactively, to approve of this measure and certainly forward-looking to authorize any further action? Congress did not vote for use of force, did not even weigh in on an authorization of use of force in 2013 when President Obama was considering action against Bashar Al-Assad, likewise against ISIS. Do you need to do that this time?
Okay, to answer your questions, we don't need to act retroactively to somehow endorse this. I think the president acted as commander-in-chief fully within his constitutional power. And yes, 2013 is not a period that makes me proud to look back on. We sort of lost our collective nerve as a country in the face of some very alarming facts out of the Bashar Assad regime. So it heartens me today that we have a bipartisan chorus of support for this action. I think it ends the week on a good note with the confirmation of Justice Gorsuch later on today, and a show of resolve that we're going to take measured but firm action against an international war criminal.
So, do you believe that any member of Congress who at this point is not willing to make their position clear with a vote on the authorization for the use of military force is shirking their responsibility as a representative of the American people? Meaning, is it incumbent on you guys to take up the vote this time?
Well, that's a very provocative question. Let's say we're going to get a briefing today about what the strategy may be going forward based on what we're hearing later on from the administration, and again from the top professionals in our country when it comes to national security. I think we'll then make a decision about does the level of action called for by this administration require an authorization of the use of military force.
You bring up an interesting point, right? Because right now it seems what you're saying is the Senate doesn't know what the administration's strategy will be in Syria going forward, which is understandable because this airstrike overnight seemed to be a different type of action than what candidate Trump had called for, and perhaps even to what Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was saying last week, where it wasn't a priority to remove Assad. I mean, do you feel like you understand what the administration's policy is?
I think without question, you've made a very important point. And I would just say that the president, any president, learns things after he gets all the information, the top secret code word briefings on exactly what's going on. And it doesn't surprise me one bit that Donald Trump would change his approach after he sees all the facts on the ground. And I for one, am supportive, relieved, and I wouldn't say delighted, but I'm pleased to see this country show some muscle and resolve and show some action in the face of really repeated action by a war criminal.
Just before we let you go, you voted in January in support of House Resolution 4038 that would suspend Syrian and Iraqi refugees from coming to the United States for a limited period of time until the vetting was increased. Given the chemical weapons attack, given the increased aggression by the Assad regime on its own people, are you still supportive of not letting those folks in this country?
Well, I'm supportive of vetting and a thorough vetting of people that we let in the United States of America. I think there's a place for very many of these victims of Bashar Assad's hostility toward his own people. There's no question about that. But they do come from a very serious area of the world, and I think when people come in from places like that, they deserve to be vetted one by one, and for the American people to feel a comfort level that they don't mean us any ill. I don't have any problem with that at all.
Okay, but you maintain that America is not the place for those refugees right now until the vetting changes. Just so we're heavy on the record on that. You still feel that way, right?
That's one way to put it. What I would really maintain is that when we allow people into this country, it's okay to check them out and see if they mean us ill, or if they're genuinely refugees that deserve the protection of the United States. That's a reasonable question. Do they mean us harm, or do they come in a benign way?
Okay.
Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi, great to have you with us. Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.